Hey, welcome back. Right now we're going to talk about how to make a slab bowl as simple as we can. You need three things. You need a slab of clay, you need a bowl, and you need something to release the bowl. And for that purpose today, we're going to use a dry cleaning plastic, and around the house you could use like a thin trash bag. That'll probably work the best. So I'm going to show you before we go on to right here. Over to my right is an example of a bowl that's already been dropped in a mold. You could see that the slab folded in on itself right here. Places that it's stretched, you know, the texture is pushed out. And on the inside, you can see the finger marks or the knuckle marks where somebody was packing it into the bowl right there. So for the purposes of this project, though, we're going to keep it a very small scale. So we're using a, you know, kind of like a dish that you would find in the cupboard, you know, eat your food out of. And what I'm going to do to begin with is place the plastic over the bowl, just softly start to press it in until, you know, I feel like it's, you know, kind of taking the form of the inside of the bowl right here. And then I'm going to use a Sharpie marker and make a kind of loose line, you know, of where that plastic is actually touching the rim. This is going to come in handy when we're actually cutting out a shape for our slab, is we know that anything of a shorter diameter than this may actually be a little too little clay to actually push in the bowl right there if we want to get it this size. So I go ahead and bring that over to the slab that we had initially put a texture on. Close up my marker, and then using the back end of my needle tool right here, I'm going to trace the shape that we had just drawn in. And you see that I'm not dragging a consistent mark. That's just going to pull the plastic and make it bunch up and possibly cut it. And I want to reuse this plastic again later. So what I'm doing is every maybe inch or so, I go ahead and release the pressure and then apply it again, you know, maybe every inch or so that it doesn't tear the plastic. We could reuse it, and it doesn't get too many creases in there. So almost there. Made it on this side, and done. Once we could see that that entire diameter has been pressed in, we could go ahead and release the plastic and start to cut out our slab. And keep in mind that when you're making these kind of cuts, whatever angle that you hold your needle tool at is going to reflect on the cut of the slab. So if you hold it at an angle like this, you're going to get something more of a bevel. As you could see right here. If you hold it straight up and down, you're going to get a perfect, you know, 90-degree angle. And if you start pointing in, like you're tracing that way, you're going to have the reverse bevel, you know, so it'll be flaring out like that right there. So I'm trying to keep it straight up and down, because as that rim meets the as the edge of the slab turns into the rim of the pot, I have something very flat that I could soften with a wet sponge, you know, and turn into our rim for our bowl. So you might want to make this easier by cutting a little break in the slab. Go ahead and pull this up from the table. It's been sitting here for just a moment, so the moisture was keeping it a little stuck. And let's see. So now we're going to bring our bowl a little closer to us. Put the plastic that we had initially traced the pattern in back into the bowl. Bring our slab over. And even before we do this, I'm going to suggest one more thing. Is let's try to tidy up this rim right now. We're going to dip our sponge in water. Go ahead and softly drag it over the surface. These edges, you see that it's already starting to smooth things down. We just want it nice and soft. That's what we're looking for. You don't have to go perfect on this one, because a lot of the cleanup really happens at the leather hard stage. Let's see, got that all done. So now we're going to take our slab, set it over the rim, and very softly I'm rotating this and pushing in with my thumbs, so that this slab will start to take the shape of the bowl. And there may be a point where it becomes helpful to take your sponge and softly start to dab into the corners of the bowl. So as you can see as I'm doing this, that the rim of the bowl is folding in on itself. That's totally natural because, you know, we're dealing with one plane right here that's now taking a circular, you know, a ball shape, you know. It's got a 360-degree diameter. So we could use our sponge, start to apply very soft but firm pressure towards the edges, right in the center of where the buckling happened, and you see that it just takes it right out. So let's do that all the way around the bowl. And now I'm going over the rim, iron this out. Tag it just one more time around, make sure I'm in all those corners. And now we go ahead and take our needle tool, bring it back over to the rim, drop this straight down, and start making a circular cut around. So as you do this, try to keep your needle tool at a 45-degree angle and pointing into the direction that you're cutting. Otherwise, you're going to be cutting too much weight right there. It's going to get this really ugly tear, and it might turn in on itself again. This way, what we're doing is we're gripping the edge, we're pulling it towards us, and it's, you know, making a sharper, cleaner cut without distorting the actual slab. And that's how to lay a slab into a slump mold.